Yo, first ever podcast. Real name Kevin Mack, y'all. That's my name. Welcome to the podcast. This is my first ever podcast. This is the beginning of it all. I've been telling myself I'm gonna do this, and I'm finally doing it. I feel like I got something to say. You know, um, first ever podcast. I would have liked this podcast to be with. Well, this is the beginning of it. Ultimately, it's gonna go from this to that. Um, what I want the podcast to end up being is something that I do with my people, having a conversation. Like my brother, for instance, D'Angelo, one of my best. That's my best friend. I feel like we and him can talk about anything, whatever it is we need to talk about. We know this conversation, the conversations between us. I've had. I don't know if y'all can hear me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix this, but what I wasn't trying to fix, but I'm trying to fix it now. I can have a conversation with my brother about anything. I would love to eventually, begin doing a podcast with him. He, but he don't live in town with me. When he get back out here, then hopefully, this will turn into something that I do with him. But anyway, first ever podcast. Welcome y'all. Um, I've been trying to figure out exactly what it is I wanted to talk about. That's one of the reasons why I think it took so long to do this podcast, but um, I couldn't figure it out. But I'm gonna just jump right in. This is what I've been wearing all day. I was helping my daughter sell some of her. She make treats, so I was helping her sell her treats like cheesecakes and loaf cakes, so and all that stuff. But this is what I've been wearing. So I ain't put no clothes on, but future I will be fly because I usually be a fly dude. Uh, I broke my subwoofer. Yeah, I think I broke my subwoofer, but I think it's broke. It might not be, but I think it is. Maybe I broke it, or maybe one of my kids came down here and broke it. But if they did break it, then eventually, I'm gonna turn it to Joe Jackson. Speaking of Joe Jackson, with this being the first ever podcast, I wanted to talk about. Okay, I seen the Mike movie. Me and my wife went to go see the Mike movie, and Mike Michael Jackson, greatest entertainer we ever had. Possibly that is the greatest entertainer. I don't want to say, oh, one of the. I think Michael Jackson is the greatest entertainer we ever had. I'm talking about the man made grown men faint. Girls, I get that, his fans, the women, whatever. But the grown men, he made grown men faint. To make grown men faint, you gotta be a dog at what you do to make a grown man faint. The only thing that ever made ain't nothing never made me faint. But I think heat is the only thing that'll probably make me faint. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never fainted, but I don't think Michael Jackson would have did it. But if you one of those guys I wonder if any of the people that Michael Jackson ever made, I wonder if they still alive. They probably still alive. But anyway, I want to talk about some of the things that I wish Mike would have done before he passed away. People probably had these conversations. I'm pretty sure this is a conversation now, but I know I got things that I wish Mike would have done. One of the things that I wish Mike would have done was stop inviting them kids to Never Never Land. I don't think that was a good move. I'm gonna keep it real. I love Michael Jackson as an artist. Dude was a genius, legendary, once in a lifetime type of talent. But at the same time, I always wished Mike would have stopped inviting kids to Never Never Land and putting themselves in situations that people couldn't understand. That people couldn't understand. That people could question. You know what I'm saying? Even if his intentions was innocent, the world don't work off intentions alone. People judge what they see. And inviting those kids to Never Never Land probably was not one of those things that worked in his favor. You know what I'm saying? From my perspective, the decision hurt him more than anything. It opened up the door for rumors, accusations, lawsuits, media attacks, endless speculations that followed him until the end of his life. You know, I feel like if he would have created stronger boundaries and kept more adults, family that wasn't doing him dirty, like Latoya, man, bro was crazy. Bro was tripping, sis. She was tripping, man. Oh, Jermaine was hating on him. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe that's some shit they fixed and got together before he passed away. But I feel like, if he would have kept all of them around him, security at all times, a lot of the controversy surrounding his name could have been avoided, or at least harder to people use against him. It would have been harder. You know what I'm saying? Instead of instead of the conversations always being about music and performance and how he changed entertainment forever, so much of his discussion became tied to controversy, you know? And this ain't no good look, man. You know, that's what people should have been telling him instead of just letting him move however he wanted because he was Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? They should have been letting him know, like, man, nah, this ain't it, bro. You need to chill out with that, man. This ain't it. You know, Mike probably needed those people around him. That was the first thing. That's one of the first things I wish Mike would have, you know, got it together with. I'm gonna do a top 5 things that I wish Mike would have done. Number two, and this is a personal thing for me. I wish Mike would have did an album with Timberland and Pharrell. Man, I wish Mike would have did an album with Timberland and Pharrell. Now, a lot of people who know me know that I'm a producer. I make music. You know, I've been rapping for a long time. I've been making beats for a long time. But with some of my favorite producers, one of my favorite producers is Pharrell. Timberland is one of my favorite producers too, but Pharrell is one of my favorite producers. But I really wish that Mike would have did an album with one of the two of them, both of them if possible. You know, and the reason I say this is because a lot of people was influenced by Mike. Justin Timberlake being one of them. Justin Timberlake was influenced by Mike. You can hear Mike all in Justin Timberlake music. And if you ever listen to any of Justin Timberlake albums like Justified and 2020, the 2020 Experience and what is it, Future Sex, Loves, I can't think of the name of the album. But if you ever listen to them, those albums, just imagine Mike singing them instead of Justin Timberlake. What? Man, what? Like, you know, man, I'm telling you, if Mike would have had Timberland as a producer and Mike would have made Sexy back, you know, because I wasn't really with the whole. I wasn't with that. I wasn't with it. Like, my favorite albums from Mike was Thriller and Off the Wall, and I like Bad too. But Thriller and Off the Wall was top tier Michael Jackson music to me. And I grew up listening to Michael Jackson, and I'm only 36. I wasn't back there, but I went back. My mom put me on Michael Jackson when I was young. I love Jackson 5's music. Old school Jackson 5's Never Can Say Goodbye. All I do is think of you. Even deep cuts like Can You Remember? One of my favorite songs. To Know, Have to Move. If I Have to Move a Mountain. Girl, Don't Take Your Love Away from Me. These are deep cuts right here. These ain't, yo, I Want You Back and Stop the Love You Say. The songs that you gon' hear because you just listen to music. These are deep cuts. But when he got past like the thriller section, no, not the thriller, the bad. So even yeah, the thriller section because the bad was like the beginning of that. I couldn't get with that. I wasn't feeling it, man. I like a soulful Michael Jackson. But if we was gonna have that, I wish it would have been Timberland as the producer. You know what I'm saying? Timberland or Pharrell, man. Like what Timberland made Cry Me a River. Can you imagine if Michael Jackson song Cry Me a River? You was my sun. You was my earth. I don't know the lyrics, but if that was Mike, Cry Me a River with that high falsetto, bro, what? Mike would have killed that for real. I can't think of a Pharrell. I know the Pharrell songs, the future. I mean that Pharrell did for Justin Timberlake. But can you imagine if they was Mike singing them instead? You know, those deep cut. I mean, those sounds that they made for Justin Timberlake and you know just whoever it was they was doing music for back in the day. If Mike would have been the singer, it would have been great because after Mike left Quincy Jones alone, he started veering towards Teddy Riley, which is a great producer. All the producers that Mike messed with, from my understanding, were great producers, and Teddy Riley was one of them. But I just wasn't digging too much of that. Like, Remember the Times, not one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. People gonna be like, what? But it wasn't one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. And that brings me to my number 3 greatest things that I wish Michael Jackson would have did, and that was no matter of fact. I'm gonna say this one. I'm gonna say this one because I actually think this is probably my number one. But I think my number three probably would be if Mike did music with Prince. I really wish Mike would have did some music with Prince, man, because man, bro, like, and don't get me wrong, I know they sound different. I know they sound different. Prince was a stubborn guy, and to be honest with you, Prince is really. If I had to choose, like I know me doing the whole my first episode on Michael Jackson, but if I had to choose for real, I probably would choose Prince over Mike. And the reason why is because no, I can't say that. I really can't say that. I say that I had arguments with my boys a lot about that. My boy Ant, shout out to Ant Awesome, shout out to Prince Ace. I have arguments with, especially Prince Ace. The nigga hate when I get to talking to him about this, but I always choose Prince over Mike when it comes down to who was like the greatest or who's the best. I choose Prince over Mike a lot. But I can honestly sit up here and say that Michael Jackson is probably my choice. I think I choose Prince to argue with them. But I love Prince. You know, I think like Purple Rain and all that, like, which is will be probably a different episode. But those are some great albums, great albums. But I wish Mike would have did music with Prince. You know, Mike and Prince was supposed to do um what is that, Bad? They were supposed to do Bad. And Prince said that the reason why he didn't do Bad is because of the lyrics saying your butt is mine, which is really ironic. The irony that Prince didn't want to mess with this man because I mean it ain't even ironic because you know as a man I'm not gonna sing no lyrics saying your butt is mine personally neither. I ain't with it. As much as the accusations people like to say about Prince, like to make on Prince, I don't think that the man was digging no dude telling him that his butt was there. So I don't care what music we hear or what videos or visuals of Prince that we see. But I just personally, I understood what he meant by your butt is mine is definitely not something this man for to be singing to me or I'm for to be singing to him. But so the story is that Quincy got Mike and Prince together to work on the Bad album, but um, uh, Prince heard Bad and was like, "This ain't Mike." You know, like, nah, this ain't Mike. And apparently, Prince wrote and recorded a demo of how he thought Bad should have sounded and sent it back to Mike. The disrespect in that alone is crazy to me. It's crazy. That's disrespect right there. That's crazy. But um, yeah, Mike and Prince should have worked together. I feel like you know how you know you got your favorite artist, or not even your favorite artist, but like we listen to music and rappers and singers and everything, and they always got like that one person on their album that's gonna be on damn near every album. Like, let me get an example. I at one point I thought that was gonna be Drake and Jay Z. I thought Jay Z was gonna be on like most of Drake's albums as that one song towards the end, like we about to close it out. And you know I couldn't do this without Jay Z or even Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like how Eminem had to have Dr. Dre on the album or 50 Cent on the album. I feel like Mike and Prince should have had that relationship where Mike drop an album and at least one song on that album gonna have Prince on it. Every album, like it would have been like, oh, this is traditional, baby. This is what I do. You know I can't do this without putting my mans on it. Even though I don't think they had that type of relationship. But it's been said that um Mike and Prince actually had a pretty decent relationship. They just was like rivals. You know what I'm saying? Like when Mike died, I heard somebody, I forgot who it was, but they was telling me how Prince mourned him. You know, like how he did like he did like a show that was dedicated to Mike and everything. And the person who was telling the story was talking about how Mike and Prince, I mean how when Mike died, Prince was on like the rooftop of a hotel with whoever this was, and they just spent the whole night talking about Michael Jackson and his legacy. I can't think of who this was, but if you're looking at this video and you know who I'm talking about, comment who I'm talking about because I really can't remember. I can go do the research myself, but I can't remember who it was. But anyway, I feel like Mike and Prince should have did that. You know what I'm saying? I think Mike and Prince making an album or making music together would have been great. Mike was a real talented dude. Prince was a real talented dude. That would have been great. That's my number three. All right, number four. Number four. Okay, my number four thing that I wish Mike would have did before he died. I wish Mike would have made acting a priority, like a bigger priority. I wish he would have made that like one of them things that, I'm Michael Jackson. I could do this. I'm gonna go act. And it's really because I didn't think Michael Jackson was a bad actor, and he did quite a lot of acting in his career. When he was younger, they would spend all that time in front of the camera doing those shows. I think they had like a sketch comedy show. The Jackson Fives had like a sketch comedy show back in the day, like in Living Jacksons or something. I just made that up. I thought that was funny. In Living Jackson, in Living Jacksons, or the the Jackson Five show. I don't know what it was, but I think they did like a sketch comedy show. But anyway, Mike did all those short films like Thriller, Moonwalker, Bad, Smooth Criminal, and he did Captain EO. I think he did a movie called. I think Captain EO was a movie, or maybe I think it's Captain EO. I might be wrong, but I think it was Captain EO. He did Ghost. I'm trying to Google it. He did Ghost and all those short films. Imagine if Mike actually took a few years and seriously studied acting, working with top directors and picked the right roles instead of trying to protect his image all the damn time. You know what I'm saying? I can see him doing mysterious characters, fantasy movies, you know what I'm saying? Psychological roles, like shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some dark and emotional. I don't really picture him as a regular action hero, no tough guy, nothing like that. Mike Energy was too unique for them basic roles, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think he should have did some shit like that. And honestly, I think acting could have helped him mentally too. Music put him in so much pressure on him, constantly trying to top himself. But acting would have let him disappear in the characters for a while instead of always carrying the weight of being Michael Jackson every second of his life. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that Mike would have did something with Tim Burton, futuristic sci-fi movie with crazy visuals and choreography built into it. That could have been legendary. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Let's be real. Mike already had one thing you can't teach actors: the ability to make people feel something. You know what I'm saying? Just by looking at the camera, some actors train their whole lives for the hype and screen presence Mike already had naturally. I'm sorry. I need some water. I'm talking. I ain't never did this much talking before. I need to get some water down here. This is my basement, my setup. I don't know. I don't think my podcast is gonna be down here a lot, but it looked kind of nice down here. I think this is something I might invest in just to make it my little space. That's a chair right there. A little couch right here across from me too. But but yeah, I think Mike should have got into acting a little bit. I think that if he would have did that, that would have been, something that I think that's an opportunity that we missed. I feel like that's something that we missed out on. Like, watch it. Like, Mike was in, I was telling my mans, right? I was telling my mans, shout out Oss. I was telling him that Mike was in Men in Black. He was like, Mike wasn't in. I'm like, Mike was in Men in Black too. He like, man, I'm telling you, Mike was in Men in Black too. I don't know if a lot of people probably don't remember that. Like, he was an agent. He wasn't an alien. I think that's what he acted. Was he an alien? Which is ironic. Mike could have been an alien. It's funny that they put him in Men in Black and didn't make him an alien. That shit was like, wait, what? But yeah, he was an agent. But yeah, he was in Men in Black. Was he in any more movies? That probably was it. I can't think of no more movies that Mike Mike was in, but I think he should have looked into acting, studied acting a little bit. Can you imagine Mike doing a movie with Denzel Washington and some, some shit? Imagine Michael Jackson doing a movie with John Singleton as the director. Baby boy, Mike doing a baby boy. I'm being silly. All right, I think yeah, I'll move on. I think that would have been. I think that's some opportunity that we missed. I think Mike should have looked into acting. The number five thing, which is one thing that I mean, which is what I wanted to piggyback off. I think it was the second or the third thing about Mike doing music with Justin Timberlake. But I wanted to say this for last though. I think the number five thing that we missed out on as an or opportunity that was something that I feel like I wish Mike would have patched things up with Quincy Jones. I really wish Mike would have patched things up with Quincy Jones. I don't know if y'all hear the foot. Like I said, I'm in my basement, so I don't know if y'all hear footsteps or whatever. Because I'm hearing footsteps. Maybe y'all probably hearing them too. But then my kids being crazy. But I wish Mike would have patched things up with Quincy Jones. You know what I'm saying? I always hated that Mike and Quincy Jones kind of drifted apart over the years because together they made literal history. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't just a producer and artist chemistry. That was like lightning in a bottle. Every time they worked together, it felt bigger than music. They pushed each other. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like that, and I think Quincy Jones created the Michael Jackson sound. Think about it. Before a lot of people think that Off the Wall was Mike's first album, but it wasn't. I think Dear Michael or Forever Michael or something like that. I think it was Dear Michael. That was the man's first album. I think he had like three albums before Off the Wall even came out. But people don't talk about those albums because Off the Wall is one of the greatest albums we ever heard. It's like they tried to erase that shit out of history that Off the Wall wasn't that man's first album. But it was the album that he did with Quincy Jones. And it was like, yo, this is what we looking for. What's the first song on there? Rock with You. No, Rock with You on the first song. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was the first song on there. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Then you got Rock with You. You got Off the Wall. You got I Can't Help It. You got She's Out of My Life. It's a lot of songs on that album that was just great because of Quincy Jones. You know, Quincy Jones made that pop. Then Thriller came out. Quincy Jones made that. What? Uh, 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 Wanna Be Started something. Baby Be Mine. Uh, it's not The Girl Is Mine. No, The Girl Is Mine is on Thriller. The Girl Is Mine. Thriller. Beat It. Billie Jean. Human Nature. PYT. And Lady of My Life. I think I named every song in I don't think I missed no songs. I gotta look at it, but I think I just named every song and in the order that it was out. I'm telling you, that's how much of a Michael Jackson fan I was. I was a big Michael Jackson. I'm still is. I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. But Thriller is the highest album ever sold, the greatest album we ever had today, and that's because of Quincy Jones. It's not just because of Quincy Jones. It's just, do you think Mike would have did that without Quincy Jones? Because he didn't. You know, like Thriller was phenomenal, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I don't know, man. I just feel like when he like I feel like him like whatever it was that happened between Mike and Quincy Jones. Like I think that it's because Mike was like on some Quincy and he losing it, or I think Quincy wanted when they started working on the Bad album. I think Quincy wanted Mike to incorporate rap into the Bad album, which made sense. It's like it's bad. You talking about you bad, you a thug, or whatever. But I feel like why wouldn't you incorporate rap into an album that your theme is you being a bad motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? But Mike said, "Yo, rap ain't even finna be around like long." That's what Quincy said anyway. Like, oh yeah, rap finna be something that it's finna be obsolete in the next couple of years. which was totally wrong, might I add. But yeah, and I think Mike didn't like the fact that he felt like Quincy was losing it. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, and I honestly can believe that because Mike seemed like one of those guys who was like delusional to reality. You know what I'm saying? It was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, rap ain't going nowhere, and rap is not a bad thing, Mike. You need to, not you need to, but you should consider it. You know what I'm saying? You should consider having this addition to your music. You know, like it's not a bad idea. But because Mike wasn't digging that, he wasn't digging Quincy no more. And I think I don't, like I said, I don't know if that's the full story of what made them ultimately drift apart, but that's what that's what it seemed like from what I hear. Um, but either way it go, the fact that they never patched it up, I feel like that's ultimately not the downfall, but after the bad album, his sales started declining. Like, he was still doing this thing overseas, but over here with us, I don't know. I don't think they was really feeling it because I hated Black and White. I hated that song. Oh my God, I hated Black and White. I hated Black and White with a passion. I remember. I don't remember when it came out, but I remember when it was out, and I think I do remember when it came out. But bro, I'm talking about they played that song all the time, bro. That shit should have been called Black and Whack, Whack and White. It was horrible. I hated that song. And to all the people who love Black and White, I'm sorry, but that song was ass. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. It wasn't that. It wasn't it. I wasn't digging it. I ain't gonna say it was ass, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I wish, I would have been all right with another Mama Say Mama Sama Makusa. Baby Be Mine was it. That song is cold. Yeah, I'll give you all I got to give. What else? Shit, man. Even Beat It and Billie Jean. Like Beat It, I got tired of Beat It too. If a motherfucker asks me what's my least favorite song on the Thriller album, I might say Beat It. But I seen the Mike movie and seen how they made the video to Beat It and them playing it on speakers in the theater. Made me, man, I came home and started. They told you, don't you ever come around here. I'm like, all right, okay, beat it. Well, I'm not gonna beat it. Pause. But but yeah, I see that. But what else? But I think the coldest song on the Thriller album, in my personal opinion, is "Lady in My Life," and that song gets disrespected. I was watching Vlad. Vlad said that is the weakest song on the album. "Lady in My Life," but obviously I know why Vlad would say that. But "Lady in My Life" is where it's at. I think that's the coldest. That like, watch out, man. You think what? This is the weekend. Watch out. Lady of My Life is definitely top tier Thriller music, Thriller album music. Period. Still up here and make it seem like Lady of My Life is the weakest song. That was crazy. But anyway, I'm moving away from what I was saying. I think Mike and Quincy should have patched it up. I think we missed out on a lot of good music. Deep down, I think Mike probably missed having somebody around him who remembered him before all the chaos, before the scandals, before he became this untouchable global figure. Quincy knew his hungry young artist underneath all the fame. Sometimes people need that person in their life to remind them who they really are. And I think that that relationship that relationship started a lot of problems with my man. Mike, I don't think Mike had good people around him, man. Like I mean, well, I ain't gonna say that because his from the movie his bodyguard, his lawyer, they seem like people who really mess with him, or maybe that's just what the movie told them to say. I don't know, but I know Joe was tripping. It's crazy, right? Because we talk about this is something I feel like the black community always do. We always say, yo, we needed a Joe Jackson, which I do agree. Joe Jackson made his whole family famous. He made people with no talent have talent. It's because of Joe Jackson. Like we just gonna keep it real with you. Joe Jackson pushed them. He got them where they needed to be. He made sure they woke up and performed. They went to sleep thinking with it on their mind. You know, he the reason why we got Michael Jackson. I do, but he had to beat that shit out of them. And I don't think that's necessary. I be like, it just like I said, growing up or listening to some stories and all that, you always be like, man, Joe Jackson is necessary. But after seeing a Michael movie, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. Joe was a cancer, bro. Like he was horrible. He wasn't good, man. He was a bad person, or he just wasn't good for Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like when you watch um the American Dream, you could tell that well, I don't know, because I think the Jacksons had a lot to do with the Michael story too, but the American Dream was like real Lysol. It was real bleached. It was real like keep this clean, Like, you would think that Mike them didn't have no issues. I mean, besides the scandal, the accusations, you know what I'm saying? But you would think that they was pretty much perfect, man. Just kids out of Gary, Indiana that was doing their thing, but when you look at the Michael story, well, you ain't really got to look at nothing. We know what happened. We know what was going on, so we know that they wasn't. But Joe, yeah, Joe was a cancer, bro. He fucked the family up. Not fuck him up, but he definitely was. He was bad for Mike, in my opinion. But I think people like Quincy. Oh, and another thing, these movies, these movies. This is off the subject. Not even, no, not necessarily, but these movies are how you thinking that Barry Gordy was a great. I don't think Barry Gordy was a great person. I'm sorry, and I'm not saying that he was a horrible person, or I'm not even saying that I know enough about him. But a lot of those Motown stories that you hear about how Barry Gordy was he was just like he was doing people dirty, man. Like he was like the Four Tops, Florence Baller. Oh my God, Florence Baller, Marvin Gaye. You know how he did a lot of them. It was like, man, you be listening to those stories, you be like, damn. But when you see like a Michael Jackson movie, like The American Dream or Michael, it'd be like Barry Gordy really had, their best interests. And nah, Barry Gordy had that money in his best interest, because whatever. Because yeah, man, Mike, like Barry Gordy wasn't, he probably was another person that was around Mike, and I can see why Mike, because when you look at the American Dream, and they made it that Mike thought looked at Barry Gordy as a dad and this and that, but you ever noticed that you never really heard Mike talk about Barry Gordy like in his older years? Or better yet, why did Mike want to leave Motown then? If that was the case, then why didn't he stay with Motown? I don't know. They don't fit in the same picture to me. I feel like that's cap. But I say that to say that a person like Quincy Jones might have not have been a bad person for Mike to keep in his life. And Stephanie Mills. Mike should have stayed with Stephanie Mills because she was a bad mother. She bad now. She's bad. I don't even think Mike hit that. I think Stephanie Mills said Mike never hit it. And I was like, damn, Mike. Like, I wonder if Stephanie Mills had that ass that she got today, back in the day. I gotta look at some. I gotta Google some of this. I don't know, but if she did, Mike was tripping, bro. Mike wasn't the ass man, I guess. But anyway, um, those are the top 5 things that I wish uh Mike would have done before he passed away. I feel like at the end of the day, when I think about Michael Jackson, I don't really just think about the greatness we got. I think about all the greatness we almost got. You feel me? And that's what makes his story kind of sad sometimes, because even after all the records, all the performance, all the history he made, it still feel like there were chapters missing. You feel me? Like, My bad. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this video at the same time. I got it on mute because y'all don't need to look at it. No, it's not. It's not corn with a P. But imagine Mike fully stepping into acting. Imagine him locking in with Pharrell and Timbaland. You know what I'm saying? That futuristic comeback album. Imagine him and Prince putting the competition aside long enough to create something together. Imagine him and Quincy Jones reconnecting one last time and giving the world another timeless record. Another Thriller. Thriller 2. What do we got? Thriller 2. You know what I'm saying? Off the wall or out the house. Like, what if we would have got all that stuff? And honestly, I think a lot of Mike's missed opportunities came from him being trapped between being a genius and being human. You know what I'm saying? The world saw him as this larger than life figure, but underneath all that, I think he was still somebody searching for peace. You know what I'm saying? Trust and acceptance. You feel me? Sometimes genius don't protect people from loneliness or bad decisions. Like Kanye West. I think Kanye West is another genius, like Michael Jackson. But just because he a genius, it makes life more complicated. Like Kanye West, look at him, man. Like it's like life is complicated because these people are like great. Like that greatness is complications. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe that's why people still talk about him the way we do though. Mike's story never felt finished. It always felt like there was another reinvention coming, another era, another surprise. He was one of them rare artists that made people believe anything was possible, creatively. Like anything was possible creatively. You know what I'm saying? And what if conversations hit so hard because Mike, the imagination almost feels endless. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's my thoughts on the missed opportunities of Michael Jackson. Legendary career, legendary talent, complicated life. But no matter what side of the conversations people on, no matter what side of the conversation the people are on, one thing nobody can deny is there would never be another Michael Jackson. There'll never be another Michael Jackson from that movie made us realize. Well, I ain't gonna say the movie made me realize it. I always knew it wasn't gonna never be another Michael Jackson. But those are my top 5 things that I wish we would have got out of Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson passed away. Whatever your things is, pause. Whatever your, if you have a list, comment under the video, talk about it with me. This is the first video again. I'm glad whoever's looking at this, I appreciate y'all looking at it. I'm gonna keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm just making it easier for me to do it. And I'm gonna bring somebody in here with me too because I have great conversations with people. Even though this is new to me. I'm actually really nervous too. By the way, I'm really nervous, but I get it. I will get it. And anyway, I don't want to drag it out. That's the top 5 things I feel like we missed out on Michael Jackson. Real name Kevin Mack podcast or whatever videos. I don't know what this is. I think it's a podcast or a video, whatever. But you know, take it how you want it. I don't know what I'm gonna name, and I'm gonna come up with a name for it too. I need to come up with a name. I don't want to say the Kevin Mack podcast or the real name Kevin Mack podcast. I gotta come up with a name. Whatever the name is, I'll figure it out. But so bear with the title to this. Bear with everything. We'll figure it out. It's gonna happen. But anyway, appreciate y'all listening. See y'all next time. Come back and fuck with me.